What's up everyone? Today we're taking a look at a new product out of Mars Hydro. It's the TS1000 full spectrum white LED. Comes in at a pretty low price. So what we're talking about in today's video is, for that price, are we actually getting something that is worthwhile? The first thing we'll do is take a look at the build quality. So you can see here's the back of it. You've got our driver right here. It is dimmable with a screwdriver right here. And it's pretty shallow. I would say that the reflector maybe is about an inch and a half or so in depth. So one thing that could be a consideration is how much light is spilling out of the sides of the reflector and effectively being forced to be used and reflected off of the grow tent itself to get back into the canopy. But you've also got the panel here, which is unprotected. So there's no cover here. My finger can go right there. There's no glass cover, which maybe could be a concern of just damaging the LEDs, but shouldn't be the hugest deal at this price point, which remember is about 120 bucks or so. So that's what it looks like. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the specifications. Okay, specs, let's talk about it. I'm gonna put them all up right here on the video, but let's go ahead and run through just a couple of the numbers. You've got a 150 watt draw power, so relatively low, and it's saying, Mars is saying that it's a 250 watt wattage equivalency, which we know is not the best metric to judge a grow light by. We would rather look at the efficiency of that light, of pulling power out of the outlet, turning it into photons of usable light by plants that's coming out of the light, which is your micromoles per joule number, which Mars advertises around a 2.1-ish. It seems like in practice you can achieve somewhere around a 1.6 or 1.7, which is actually pretty good for a light that's $120 in that price range. You know, a lot of the lights in that price range are gonna be around a 1.2, 1.3. You can get a 1.6, 1.7 out of this. That's pretty good actually for a budget grow light, which this certainly is a budget grow light. Now, as far as the coverage goes, they're advertising a 3 foot by 3 foot. I would probably push that closer towards 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet footprint on your grow tent, just because you're gonna want to get those higher PPFD numbers if possible, and that's the way to do it with this light. So we've hung it on our ratcheting hangers. It's in a Mars Hydro 2 foot by 2 foot by 5 foot tent. Let's plug it in, see what it looks like. So as expected, the short reflector length here means that a lot of light is kind of spilling out to the back of the grow tent, to all sides of the grow tent, especially when it's closed up, which means that the actual reflective coating of the grow tent is gonna have to do a little more work than some other types of grow lights to redirect this light downwards towards your growing canopy. But it's still putting out quite a bit of light directly downwards, and it's a nice, clean, full spectrum white LED light, no blurple. So it honestly looks really, really good. And this is why I would say to push your canopy a little lower if possible. Get your footprint to like 2 foot by 2 foot, 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, because you are getting a lot of light leak out the sides. So pros and cons of the TS1000. Is it a good buy? Well, the first pro is, of course, the budget price. It's around $120-ish. Can be a little cheaper. There's often sales running. So that's a pretty cheap price for what you're getting. And when we're saying what you're getting a pretty efficient full spectrum white LED. It's a little heavier in blue than red compared to other LED mixes. So I might use it a little bit more for vegetative growth rather than flowering growth. But again, that effective micromoles per joule rating is high relative to the price. Maybe like a 1.6, 1.7. They advertise a 2.1, though I think you can get that if you have it really, really close to the canopy. But most lights in the 120 range are somewhere around a 1.2, 1.3. So efficient for the price, and it's honestly pretty slim, pretty lightweight. It's passively cooled. It's a decent light for the price for a beginner indoor gardener. So some of the cons are the reflector is quite lightweight and flimsy, so you could potentially bend it, you could maybe break it or something like that. You could dent it pretty easily. Also, it's quite shallow, and it doesn't redirect the light downwards as well as other lights. So if you're not using a grow tent, you're gonna be losing a lot of light out of the sides like this, and it's just going to make for a less efficient light overall. If you are using a grow tent, then of course the grow tent's gonna be having to do some of that work to reflect that light back down towards the plant canopy. Another potential downside comes underneath, where many lights that are a little bit higher price point, a little bit higher quality, will have some kind of protection on the LED diodes themselves. This one does not, so in theory, you could damage that. You could break a diode, you could kind of mess that up. So it would be nice to kind of see that, but then that would kind of change the way that the entire light has to be cooled. So I can understand why at this price point they made that choice. So overall, I'm pleasantly surprised with the TS1000 from Mars. A lot of the times, the budget manufacturers, especially out of China, cut corners, they scrimp, and at least in my communications with Mars, because I've spoken with them in the past, as well as just watching their product line kind of evolve over the years, it seems like they are one of the better ones out there. I've used the lights for quite some time now in the budget range, and I've used plenty of other grow lights as well. So is it the best grow light on the planet Earth? Definitely not, but whenever you analyze a grow light, I see a lot of the times in the comments like, oh, this light's trash because this light's better. Well, yeah, you have to make a parity comparison though. You have to compare it at price point to price point and what you're getting for the price point. So in my final opinion, at the price point of around $100, $130, this is a really high quality light for the price. So again, I'll leave a link in the video description. If you have any thoughts on this particular light, any experience growing it yourself, let me know. But until next time, good luck in the garden and keep on growing.